The election has come and gone, and the results show that voters here in town support allowing the retail sale of recreational marijuana. Welcome to this edition of the program. I'm John Luck. You may have heard about this question over the past number of weeks and months, which has been advertised as an opinion question. Overall, the final tally came out to 1076 to 796 in favor of supporting the retail sale of marijuana, with 14 ballots left blank. Looking at the precinct breakdown, and all the precincts favored yes with the exception of Precinct 2, which was a tie at 207 apiece and one ballot left blank. The last time Bridgewater residents voted on recreational marijuana was a vote that all Bay State residents took part in, and that was on the ballot for the presidential election. Between the two elections in 2016 and most recently on April 24th, there was a difference of 11,254 voters. Now, despite the yes vote, there were still some residents that were frustrated by the result and the process that was taken, and during citizens' comments at the last council meeting, there were words directed to one of the town councilors in particular.
We are doing ridiculous non-binding votes in the middle of a pandemic, and there's one councilor who is doing it. That same councilor abandoned his post last year, then got that seat filled by somebody who volunteered for it, and then he was elected by a margin of 34 votes. 34 votes in the middle of a pandemic. That's nothing. So I'm now looking at what happened. I find out about this non-binding vote that happened this last weekend. We barely had, during a time when we can't meet in person. This is ridiculous. This is playing games.
This particular counselor's main argument, which he put on Facebook almost daily, for having pot shops is about tax revenue, which if you do the research, the numbers just aren't there. There is no magic solution to generating more money in our town. We all know this, and it's part of the reason why y'all's job is so hard. If it's too good to be true, remember, it usually is.
There were a number of seats up for grabs in town on April 24th, including the town clerk position, and Marilee Hunt ran unopposed and received over 1,500 votes. Eric Moore is the new councilor in District 1 as he received 322 votes. Moore will take over for Aisha Loesch, who announced she wasn't running for re-election. Dr. Kevin Perry will take over for Tim Fitzgibbons, whose time on the council has expired. Dr. Perry ran unopposed, as did Peter Columbotis, who will remain councilor at District 5 for the next 2 years. Dennis Gallagher was re-elected as a councilor at large and ran unopposed, receiving over 1,400 votes across the town. There were 2 BR school committee seats in Bridgewater and Rainham on the line, with 3 people vying for the seats in both communities. Starting off in Bridgewater, and Tim Fitzgibbons will go from the town council to the school committee, receiving just over 1,500 votes combined between Bridgewater and Rainham, as both communities voted on both races. Michael Dolan received over 1,200 combined votes, and Jason Hammond didn't receive enough votes to remain on the committee, earning 919 votes. In Rainham, Rachel King was re-elected to the committee with 1,260 votes, including 961 in Bridgewater. Laura Conrad will take Louis Gelfie's seat on the committee after she received 144 more votes than the incumbent. This marked the last meeting for councilors Tim Fitzgibbons and Aisha Loesch, who, as you heard, have been replaced. The two councilors looked back at their time on the council at the April 27th meeting during councilor comments.
10 years seem to have gone by in a flash, actually, to tell you the truth. Two of the things I'm most proud about are moving our financial situation from negative free cash to a point where we can actually strategically invest the free cash and reserve funds we have in the places that are most needed in the town. And one of the great things that I grew up in this town, my parents moved here in 1969. And I always heard about, we have to do more to develop business. We have to do more to develop business. And one of the great things this council did was to, create that opportunity zone on Elm Street. And that was great. And I'm really proud of those two accomplishments.
I want to thank all the residents of Bridgewater for coming to the meetings that I've been a privilege to attend for the past 7 years, Hearing your thoughts and your comments have been a great honor and pleasure. And I hope that you all continue to come and voice your opinions and thoughts and concerns to your council members and at these meetings. We've heard a little bit today that folks just don't know. And I think, they have an opportunity to know. I didn't know, and I volunteered and I read the charter with Dennis and others for probably 500 times through, and got to know it very well. And there's many opportunities for folks to do it. It's a few hours a month.
And of course, you can watch the council meeting in its entirety on Channel 22 or on demand at btvaccess.com. Thanksgiving morning typically sees a competitive football game between the BR Trojans and Brockton Boxers. Obviously, things got a little switched up this year, so they played the game on April 10th. The game held more meaning this year, as this was the final game for BR head coach and athletic director Danbjorn. Brian Berard has more.
Bridgewater, Rainham, and Brockton closed out their spring football season on Saturday afternoon at Marciano Stadium. This game was filled with storylines, as it was the first ever Southeast Conference title and the last game for BR head coach Danbjorn. It was a back-and-forth affair, but in the end, the Boxers bested the Trojans, taking the conference title with a 28-19 victory. Trojans senior running back Anthony Morrison had 142 yards on the ground with a touchdown, while Brockton's Devontae Medley rushed for 122 and threw for 96 with 3 touchdowns. Junior Ryan Breheny shined for the Trojans in the receiving game, catching a pair of touchdowns for 15 and 63 yards. In an interview with the Boston Globe after the game, Brockton head coach Peter Colombo said, "Danny beat me more than I beat him. It's nice to get this last one. His career is what it is. It's phenomenal. My hat is off to him. Much respect." We at BTV wish Coach Buron all the best in his future endeavors. And one final thing in sports, congratulations to BR Girls Basketball's Kenzie Matalanis for being named Max Prep's Girls Basketball Player of the Year in Massachusetts.
All right, thanks, Brian, and congrats to Kenzie on the award. Getting back to Coach Buron for a second, whose coaching career at the regional ends after 301 games with a record of 207, 92, and 2. In his time at BR, which started back in 1993, he brought the Trojans to the Super Bowl 7 times and won twice in 1998 and the year 2000. The head coach appeared on the latest episode of 4 Deep Sports Talk hosted by Dominic Damiano, and among the many items that was covered was what he would miss most about coaching.
What are you going to miss most about coaching, Dan?
I think the interaction with the kids, with the players. It's teaching. I'm a teacher first and a coach, so I just being able to teach the players, the game of football, and also life lessons. I think they keep us young, and I tell people all the time as a head football coach. I think as I got older, I love practice. I love the games. It's the preparation in between, which I love, but it just is tiring. But the constant interaction with young people is really what keeps me going. I think anybody that coaches would probably say the same thing. I really have been blessed. I think Lou Gehrig said it. To quote him, "I'm the luckiest man in the world." When he spoke at Yankee Stadium, I'll say it here, and I'm a pretty lucky guy.
4 Deep Sports Talk airs live on Saturdays at noon on WARA 1320 AM, and you can watch the replay simulcast on Channel 9 or online at btvaccess.com. Turning to the pandemic numbers here in town, and according to the state's city and town breakdown, Bridgewater is improving. Ending with the April 22nd report, Bridgewater had a 2-week case count of 83, which is down 50 from 2 weeks prior during a slight uptick in numbers. The positivity percentage was at 2.45%, down more than 1% from 2 weeks before. To put these numbers in better context, the 83 cases is 306 cases fewer than the middle of January, which was the biggest surge in Bridgewater, and the positivity percentage is down by about 12% from that same time frame. All residents here in the Bay State aged 16 and older are now eligible to receive the COVID vaccine. Now, with this news comes a warning for patients, says Dr. Todd Ellerin, who is the Director of Infectious Diseases for South Shore Health. Dr. Ellerin tells the Boston Herald that it's important to understand that demand will still far exceed the supply. There will be 1.7 million Bay State residents now eligible on top of those who have already been eligible to receive the vaccine. To register for a vaccine appointment or to see the availability for a vaccination site, visit vaxfinder.mass.gov. And it's worth noting that 16 and 17-year-old residents are only eligible for the Pfizer vaccine. All students in a Massachusetts state university are required to be vaccinated against COVID-19 before attending in-person classes coming up in the fall, and students at Bridgewater State University are included in that requirement. This came out on April 26th and also affects students at Fitchburg State, Framingham State, Westfield State, Worcester State, Mass College of Art and Design, MCLA, and Mass Maritime. This news follows in the footsteps of other colleges in the state who have similar requirements, including UMass Amherst, Emerson, Northeastern, BU, and BC. According to a statement from BSU President Fred Clark, religious and medical exemptions will be accommodated pursuant to state and federal law. To read the full letter from President Clark, we have the link at the bottom of the screen. Turning to some welcome news for many, as the state has announced that mask mandates have been relaxed. This came at an April 27th press conference, and Governor Charlie Baker announced the state will not require face coverings outside if a person can maintain social distancing. Masks and face coverings will continue to be required indoor in all public places and at large outdoor venues like Fenway Park. Starting on May 29th, limits on gatherings will be raised to 200 people indoors and 250 outdoors. Bars can open without having to serve food, but customers will have to be seated 6 feet apart. The governor understands the frustration people have had with restrictions slowly easing and measures taken at the start of the pandemic, but also recognizes that a number of people have taken a big first step in receiving the COVID vaccine.
We are so grateful that people here in the Commonwealth want to get vaccinated, want to solve this problem, want to put this thing behind us, and know that the fastest and best way that we can all participate in making that happen is by getting vaccinated. The people in Massachusetts have been incredible every step of the way in terms of their flexibility, their resiliency, their creativity, their support for one another, their willingness to make clear to us about what they don't like about what we do, which I also appreciate. We learn a lot from that, but especially around this vaccination issue.
On March 20th, there were a pair of gatherings that took place around the same time. One was the Stand Up for Justice group in the Common, and the other was a Spring Free rally that took place in conjunction with a worldwide rally for freedom and democracy against COVID-19 down at Legion Field. You may remember we told you those two rallies actually came together for a short time, resulting in 3 people, none of which were from Bridgewater, being arrested. At recent town council meetings, residents have asked members of the council how the group at Legion Field was able to hold a gathering and if there were permits handed out. The town manager's office released a list of answers to some of those questions on the town's Facebook page. One of the first questions asked was, how did these events come to the attention of the town? Early in the work week of March 15th, the police department and town manager's office received calls and emails asking if the town knew of an event being advertised through social media to be held on the town common. Neither the police chief nor the manager's office had any prior knowledge of such an event being scheduled, but as soon as the town received the information, we began taking steps to ensure the safety of the community. The organizers called the police department to confirm that their group was going to hold a political rally in the town common on Saturday, March 20th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Another question asked was how the event ended up at Legion Field, and the response from the town manager says, on the Wednesday prior, after spending several days discussing the event with the organizers as well as the organizers of a distinctly separate event on the town common, the police chief asked all the groups if they would postpone their political protest to allow for better planning. None of the groups was willing to postpone. In discussions with the police chief, one of the groups offered to move their event to an alternate location. Legion Field was suggested, and the police chief, after consultation with the recreations director ensuring that the location was going to be vacant, agreed to the move. All agreed that in the interests of public safety and the multiple political rally scheduled for that day, this would be a better location. The organizers of the political rally then advertised a change in location, and this left the town common for the other political standout. Among some of the other responses to questions, the town manager said that none of the groups sought a permit, and while there are provisions requiring a permit for gatherings, there are town and government limits on the ability to regulate private speech in a traditional public forum. There was also no significant additional expenses to taxpayers for police response other than the cost associated with additional officers staying beyond their normal shifts. And you can read the full answers to some of the questions asked of the town manager on the town's Facebook page. Search Town of Bridgewater, MA. The Bridgewater Police Department has a new K-9 thanks to help from a great organization. We'll tell you about that coming up. Plus, Bridgewater State's commencement ceremony will look a little bit different this year with a nice upgrade for the class of 2020 and 2021.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning. Why?
Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please.
Don't quit on me. Okay. But remember, it's not what you say. It's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees?
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
The Bridgewater Police Department has a new member on its force. Edo is the police department's newest K-9 and is a Belgian Malinois German Shepherd mix who is a little under 2 years old. Edo was purchased with funds through Molly's annual Vestadog fundraiser held last year. Molly and her mother Stacy support a police K-9 unit with funds to purchase bulletproof K-9 vests, essential equipment, training, and dogs for police departments. Edo and his handler, Officer Christopher Rondeau, graduated from the Basic K-9 Patrol Academy back on January 22nd, and the department already has Officer Stephen Kingsley and K-9 Poppy who are assigned to the night shift for the BPD. Bridgewater Police Chief Chris Del Monte said, quote, "Our K-9 teams and their abilities are incredible resources for this department, and K-9 Edo has already been very effective in the 2 months he's been with us. I would like to thank Molly, her mother Stacy, and the Massachusetts Vestadog organization. We are very grateful for their selfless work on our behalf and for the support they have provided for several years to police department and K-9 units across the state." Members of the 2021 graduating class at Bridgewater State University won't get to walk across the stage on Boyden Quad this year. This marks the second straight year the event has been altered, but last year BSU President Fred Clark promised students they would have their moment to be celebrated, and it's safe to say he came through in a big way.
I made a promise to our graduates that we would celebrate in person. This pandemic can delay us, but it won't stop us. We started looking for places, bigger places, where we could come together with our families and friends in the safest way possible. Could we do it here, on our own turf, the site of so many wonderful victories and homecomings? No, my friends, we're going bigger. Our graduates will be on this field, the same field where champions are made. Your friends and families will fill these seats to cheer you on as loudly as any Pats fan ever has. It will be worth the wait, so we can honor you the way you deserve to be honored.
President Clark released a statement on this huge announcement which reads in part, quote, "We rejected the idea of having ceremonies here at BSU for an important reason. Physical campus constraints and strict compliance with commencement guidelines recently issued by the state would frankly not allow any family members to attend based on our planning models. That was not okay with us or with you. With nearly 5,000 2020 and 2021 graduates eligible to walk across the BSU commencement stage, and with thousands of family members eager to cheer them on, only one spectacular venue in Massachusetts would safely accommodate our large BSU family, Gillette Stadium. The state has authorized the stadium to safely host thousands of people appropriately distanced from one another in the stands, with hundreds of our students who will be safely seated on the field at Gillette. With 4 ceremonies planned over 3 days, we will be able to keep our graduates and their families safe while still being able to celebrate the triumphs of our students as they walk across the stage one at a time. We are grateful for our partnership of our friends at Gillette in helping us to organize what is sure to be 4 spectacular ceremonies for our 2 graduating classes who have endured such profound hardships over the past year, end quote. Bridgewater Town Manager Michael Dutton presented the FY22 budget projections at an April Town Council meeting. Mr. Dutton said that there are a few things he and the Budget and Finance Committee do look at when making the budget. First, avoiding budgetary practices that balance the current expenditures at the expense of meeting future years, making sure recurring operating costs are funded by recurring sources of revenue, and the town manager added that he wanted to have an unreserved fund balance, also known as free cash, at the end of FY22 of 1.5% of the FY21 operating budget. Free cash can be used on capital improvements, equipment, snow and ice expenses, and more. The FY21 budget had $1.6 million pulled from stabilization to fund the budget, but the town manager says that he is not proposing use of any stabilization funds for this fiscal year budget. As far as some of the budget projections go, a little over $13 million is expected to go to public safety and inspectional services, with nearly $3.5 million expected for general government departments. The town manager said that this budget should fund a DPW director, which will come from a combination of general and enterprise funds. The total school operation and debt services portion of the town budget comes out to a total of $36,760,031. And that includes nearly $30.6 million for the Bridgewater assessment in the BR School District and over $4 million for the BR debt exclusion. Overall, the expected use of funds in this FY22 budget projection comes out to a total of $65,596,676. And there will be a public hearing at the next Town Council meeting, which comes up on May 11th. The week of April 26th is Severe Weather Awareness Week. As we get ready to enjoy the summer sun outdoors, there are some tips to be prepared if severe weather comes your way. Jeff Fowler has more.
The National Weather Service is celebrating Severe Weather Awareness Week, a perfect time for all of us to get reacquainted with some of the dramatic weather events that are commonly associated with the warmer months of the year. Being prepared well in advance can also give us the opportunity to safely enjoy what Mother Nature has to offer. This is a good time to make sure we have a weather preparedness kit, which should include some batteries, chargers, bottled water, IDs, and some extra cash. Some kits will also include non-perishable foods, a list of prescriptions, and some personalized needs. Best plan is to assume that you may be without power and water for a number of days. You may need to travel to a shelter or quarantine at home. I think it's safe to say we figured out that quarantine part. When severe weather threatens, be sure to have a way to be notified of any watches or warnings via local TV, weather radio, or your smartphone. Mobile.weather.gov offers emergency alerts, text messages, and sirens that can go directly to your smartphone or tablet. This is also a good time to know the terminology. A watch means that conditions are favorable for storms to form at some point. A warning means that a storm has formed, is tracking your way, and potential danger is imminent. You should always follow instructions related to the warning, which typically include finding a safe place to shelter, and remember, when it roars, get indoors, and when seeing flooding water, turn around, don't drown. For more information on severe weather awareness, log on to weather.gov. This is Jeff Fowler reporting for BTV.
Thanks, Jeff. Turning to health, and you heard earlier in the show about the COVID vaccine, and in some cases, its requirement. When getting the vaccine, you will receive a card which many have shared on social media. Mary Evers helps us understand our COVID vaccine card a little better.
Many people are taking to social media to show off their COVID-19 vaccine cards, which doctors say can be a good way to raise awareness, as long as they're being careful about it.
I think there's some merit in actually celebrating that and putting it on somebody's social media feed. What we worry about is actually providing more information than you need to, other than you were vaccinated.
Cleveland Clinic's Dr. Michelle Medina says the vaccine cards can include all kinds of information like your full name, date of birth, what kind of vaccine you were given, and when. There's also a section that lists an expiration date, which some people might get confused by. That date is for the shelf life of the vaccine and has nothing to do with how long the vaccine lasts in your body. Dr. Medina says it's very similar to an expiration date you'd see at the grocery store on food. She says, with so much information on one card, it's very important that people watch what they're posting online.
The fact that your vaccine card contains your full name, it contains your date of birth. There are so many ways that that type of information can be traced back to you, can be traced back to your place of residence, can be traced back to your place of work.
Dr. Medina says that another option for social media is to post a picture of your arm after getting the vaccine. This way that you won't be leaking any sensitive information that may be on your card. For the card itself, she says to be sure you store it in a safe place in case you might need it someday. For Bridgewater Review, I'm Mary Evers.
Coming up, an annual local tradition returns, plus how you can play a key part in the 4th of July celebrations later on this year.
You can find us here, 'cause this is where we belong.
I'm Ferdinand. You look at me and think big. You think scary, but I'm a little misunderstood. Sorry, I almost killed you. You've all been misunderstood. You're not a fighter.
I don't understand that at all.
Kids with learning and attention issues like dyslexia and ADHD are misunderstood too. Take the time to understand.
Best plan ever!
With the right support, everyone can reach their full potential because you can't judge a bull by his cover. Learn more at understood.org.
I was really excited to get vaccinated.
I got vaccinated.
I have done it. I have gotten the shot.
I feel like I'm doing my part to stop the spread of the virus.
How are you today? I want to be part of the change.
When we trust the science, we contribute to the collective good.
It's protection for the people that you love.
It's very exciting to get back together.
I'm a hugger.
I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my son.
My family, my friends.
My patients. Trust the facts, get the vax.
The Bridgewater 4th of July Committee is holding a contest asking for the best 4th of July design. The winner will have their design printed on t-shirts that will be sold in a fundraiser coming up later on this year. The patriotic designs must include Bridgewater and 2021. Entries are due by May 1st and can be mailed to Bridgewater 4th of July Committee, P.O. Box 390, Bridgewater, Mass. 02324, or email lisa@bridgewaterma4th.com. Another contest being held by the committee involves showing off your musical talents by performing the national anthem. To take part, you must be comfortable singing in front of thousands of people. Just record your performance of the anthem to YouTube and email the link to lisa@bridgewaterma4th.com by May 15th. Before the break, we told you about an annual tradition returning, and it's the Bridgewater Lions Club Youth Fishing Derby. This will take place on Saturday, May 8th from 7 to 10:30 a.m. at Skeeter Mill Pond on Water Street. Anglers age 14 and under are welcome, and night crawlers will be supplied while supplies last. There will be prizes, but you do need to bring your own fishing gear. There is no cost and no fishing license required. For more information on the event, contact Carl Hansen at chansen565@yahoo.com. And we want to end the show with a great story of a community coming together to support some of their own. Bridgewater Firefighters Local 2611 hosted an open skate fundraising event at Bridgewater Ice Arena this past weekend. This benefited the McQuaid family who are dealing with cancer battles. Richie McQuaid was diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer last summer, and Lindsay was diagnosed with stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. The married couple who live in Bridgewater had 3 children, all under the age of 6. The skating event brought in over $1,500, and a 50-50 raffle was held with Brockton police officer Christopher Perez winning $200, which he donated back to the family. And there is another local effort to help the family at Prisco's Market and Deli. This Red Sox-themed kids' drivable car is being raffled off at the local business, with tickets being sold for $5 apiece, and all the proceeds going to the McQuaids. The winner of the raffle will be announced in mid-May, but there is still time to enter, with tickets being sold at Prisco's located at 8 Romney Road, right off Route 18. And it's always great to see and hear stories like that of a community coming together and supporting some of their own people. And we thank you for watching this edition of the Bridgewater Review. I'm John Locke.